Hey, everybody, good going down the road with you. Just a little pre-warning. I've got a little bit of a sore throat, so my Beck cup is going to get used a number of times, and you might see me take some time to I don't know, cough. But let me, there you go. Let me also tell you this. I've had COVID. So, and my theory is I've got at least 3 months to go, which means this weekend I should be able to go out to deer camp without worrying about it a whole lot. I want to talk a little bit. Well, we've got a lot of great folks on for you today. Robert Alexander is going to join us. Al Carlson's going to join it. Well, Al Carlson, you probably know. Robert Alexander is the founding director of the Institute for Civics and Public Policy at Ohio Northern University. Al Carlson, former majority leader, diehard Republican, very conservative Republican. We're going to talk to him a little bit about Governor Burgum and that appointment that he made in a legislative district to fill a slot. Now, in that district, Governor Burgum spent over $1 million to make sure the district doesn't get the person they want. So that's going to be pretty interesting. And you know what? If you're in front of a computer when we get close to it, I want you to take a look at Ed Rendell. He's a former governor of Pennsylvania. Ed Rendell is just, I love the guy. Old, crusty type of politician. Think Daley, think Chicago, that type of thing. But I want to talk about, first off, some commentary on the Biden race, the Biden-Trump race. Biden leads this race now at 253 to 214. Now, we're going to run through the map a little bit. They've called Arizona, albeit very tight. Fox News called this earlier, or quite a bit earlier. They took some heat for it. And it turns out they were right, that Arizona was going to break Joe Biden's way. I think they should have held off if you look at those numbers, but Fox News got it right. Now, go up to Nevada and look at what some of the numbers are in Nevada. And what are you going to see? Well, you're going to see a race that hasn't been decided yet, but you're going to see a race where Joe Biden is slightly ahead. Now, here's the other part about Nevada that you want to keep in mind. In Nevada, a lot of the votes that haven't been counted are in the Reno and Las Vegas area. Now, why does that matter? Well, those are pretty Democratic areas. You've got a lot of hotel workers. You've got a lot of individuals like that that haven't had their votes counted yet. And so I'll run through the scenario of what Nevada means in a little bit. But I also want to go to Michigan, if I could. I want to take a look at Michigan and point out that Michigan, which is what we were looking at before, has broke. That's done. Michigan is at 50.6 for Joe Biden and at 47.9 for the president. Now, let's take a look at another state, which is Wisconsin. Guys, I want to take a look at Wisconsin, which is broke in terms of broke, not meaning financially broke, meaning the fact that it's gone to Joe Biden, albeit by a very, very slim margin. The president has called for and asked for a recount there. The former governor, Scott Walker, has said, 20,000 votes, which is what separates the two candidates, is a lot to make up in Wisconsin. He tried a recall before, and a Democrat tried a recall before. Scott Walker's a former Republican governor, and they both realized that there aren't that many votes that switch in a recount in Wisconsin. So where are we at with that before we get to Georgia and Pennsylvania? Here's where we're at. Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, that's 270. I believe that's 270 if you take a look at all of those states combined. Now, let's go to Pennsylvania, because if you look at Pennsylvania, actually, guys, I'm sorry about that. Let's go down to Georgia first, if we can. Let's take a look at Georgia. It's starting to break Joe Biden's way, 49.3 to 49.5, but the votes that haven't been counted yet in Georgia are votes in heavy Democratic areas. So again, Georgia is looking as though it has good potential, albeit very close, of going Joe Biden's way. Now, take a look at North Carolina. North Carolina is another state that we got to look at that hasn't been called yet. North Carolina, as we said, has Joe Biden at 48.7% and Donald Trump at 50.1%. Excuse me. If this state's done, I don't know why it hasn't been called yet. but there's no big change. When you look at where the votes are going to come from in North Carolina, this state is done. The scenario that I gave you in the beginning of what states are breaking Joe Biden's, what states are there, makes Pennsylvania, albeit it'd be great to have, but makes Pennsylvania a state that Joe Biden doesn't need to win. He doesn't need it to win. Now, here's the big thing, you guys. Here's a very important thing. How many electoral votes you get. Also, I would argue where they're at. I mean, if Georgia goes Biden, no longer can we sit there and say the South completely always votes Republican. That's a big change for Georgia, a really big change. Texas was much closer than what the Texans always think it's going to be. So add in Pennsylvania now. You take a look at Pennsylvania, and what you see is a strong state that Hillary Clinton lost before, right? I mean, let's go back. And we don't need to go to the graphic on this, but the truth of the matter is Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania decided the race for Donald Trump the first time. And those three states, two have been called. One is still sitting and waiting to be called, and that's Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania is really in a position where it's breaking Joe Biden. Now, Donald Trump has said, stop counting, except for Arizona. He wanted Arizona to be counted. But he needs these states. And so he wants the counting to be stopped in Pennsylvania. And it has. It has. For whatever reason, it has. They're thinking that it'll take a day in court to make the argument on both sides of the aisle. Excuse me. And then you'll see Pennsylvania continue to recount. And a little bit later on, when we talk to Ed Rendell, he knows the state so well. He knows where all the bodies are buried in Pennsylvania. I had a chance to interview him earlier today on my radio show, News and Views. You go back to Pennsylvania and you look at what Ed Rendell says, and I'm not going to tell you yet. You're going to have to hang in there with me. But what Ed Rendell says matters. Let me just tell you this. He was right about Donald Trump winning 4 years ago. He told the Clinton campaign, you're going to lose Pennsylvania. And he was spot on right. I want to check a couple of other things. The mail-in ballots, how they were just rife with flawed. That's not true. How the Democratic governors don't like him and how he's sitting there looking at those ballot counts, and it's the Democratic governors they're injecting themselves in. Let's just be clear about this. Anyone who knows anything about elections know that the governor doesn't have a blank to do with them. He doesn't, or she doesn't. You know, you look at Michigan, it wasn't the Democratic governor that decided the election in Michigan. It's called the Secretary of State. The Secretary of State in each one of these states handles the election. If there's a question in how they're doing it, the Secretary of State's attorney is the Attorney General. That's their attorney. And so the question then goes on the legal side to the Attorney General. And so where are you at? I mean, where are you at? You're in a position where you're giving out falsehoods. And the president needs to quit doing that. He can take the aggressive in this all he wants. He can start holding rallies all he wants. In the end, it's going to come down to the rule of law. And I just want to add this, if I can. Well, heck, I can. I just want to add this. He's going to lose. In fact, we could make an argument that he already has lost. I mean, think about that. Think how close and how narrow the race was 4 years ago. 70,000 votes separated combined in Michigan and in Iowa and in Wisconsin, or not Iowa, but Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. You look at those. I mean, you look at that, and you're looking at a man that didn't exactly have a mandate, Donald Trump did, going into governing, and yet he's arguing about how we shouldn't have a recount. And I might add this. In Arizona, where the recount started, or not the recount, but the votes started getting tighter and tighter, he wanted the counting done there. He absolutely wanted the counting done there. Now, I don't want to miss the opportunity as well to talk to you about the COVID surge. COVID is surging in North Dakota. And I would add this. For those individuals on the other side of the aisle from me who said that November 4th, COVID's going to be done, that the Democrats are just using COVID as a political excuse. Well, how's it going? If it's just political, then why all the reports? Why all the recognition? Why all the knowledge that it's separating? North Dakota is in a crisis. And take that from someone who's had COVID. And if you don't believe me, here's what I want you to do. I want you to step back and think about, for those of you that haven't had COVID, or watching this, that have gone down the road with us, for those of you that haven't had COVID, ask yourself how many people you know that has. Ask yourself how many that are currently fighting it. I'm sitting here right now as we speak, and I can name at least 5 people, and this isn't 5 people together that caught it from each other. 5 families in different places that have COVID. And some of them very, very severe. One that was hospitalized. And yeah, that individual came out of the hospital after 5 days and is doing better now. Still has those side effects that I have. He's short of breath, but he's regained the sense of taste and smell. But that doesn't change the fact that he's lying in a hospital bed for 5 days. And what the long terms of COVID are, who knows? So we got a lot to talk about today. Robert Alexander is going to join us. He's the founding director at the Institute for Civics and Public Policy at Ohio Northern University. Let's join him right after this.
Howdy folks, it's a Line Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Boston breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at a salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous Line burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon rattling pie with a calm roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the game. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the County Line.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Beck Communications is honored to be recently recognized with 3 Broadband Now awards. Beck Communications Cooperative was awarded in the categories of Top Internet Speeds Nationwide, Top 3 Fastest Internet Providers in North Dakota, and North Dakota's #1 Fastest Fiber Provider. It's only through the support of our members and customers that Beck Fiber delivers award-winning speeds and service. Thank you, Beck Communications Cooperative members and customers, for your years of continued support.
Introducing Accord Comfort Sleep Systems, a better way to sleep. We offer you 5 different models to give you the perfect choice of support and body comfort. Every model begins with our exclusive Accord Comfort Reflex Layer. This ensures proper spinal alignment and a deep down body relief. Our 8-inch Whisper Breeze provides a medium firm feel, and our 10-inch Gentle Night model has a quilted top, giving you a medium plush comfort. Both use Outlast fabric on the top of your mattress, ensuring that your body temperature is not too hot and not too cold. Our Copper Rest Sleep Series is our premier mattress, offering your choice of firm, plush, and luxury plush. Every model uses copper-infused gel latex and provides all the health benefits of copper. Accord Comfort mattresses are handcrafted in the USA and come with a 60-night sleep guarantee. You're going to love sleeping with us. Order today exclusively at accordsleep.com or Tom's Home Furnishings in beautiful downtown Harvey.
Is your business phone system outdated and expensive to maintain? Most large VoIP companies leave you on hold or struggling through online support and training for your employees. With Beck Connect, you always have fast, friendly, local support. Familiar faces with the know-how to keep you connected. Take advantage of the newest technology in voice calling, video conferencing, and virtual meeting rooms. Beck Connect gives you all the features you need with no upfront investment and no obsolete hardware or software ever again. Simplify your communications. Choose local. Choose Beck Connect.
Thanks for staying in the rig and continuing to go down the road with me, Joel Heitkamp. All right, let me describe who this gentleman is, and you'll find out that he did much better in school than what I did. Ready? Robert Alexander, founding director, Institute for Civics and Public Policy at Ohio Northern University, joins us right now. Robert, good to have you on.
Good to be back, Joel.
I'm not going to miss this opportunity, and believe me, that wasn't why we asked him on. Look over your left shoulder. Tell people what book that is so they buy it.
Representation and the Electoral College, everything you want to know about it. 2019 Oxford University Press. Let's go.
Well, nobody has published my book yet because only the first chapter is done, Robert. I want to talk about something I think I misspoke on earlier. Does 270 votes cinch this? Does it give you the total needed in the Electoral College?
That's the magic number. 270 is the bare majority of the 538 Electoral College votes that are out there. So that would give you Electoral College majority.
And here's another weird part that I think a lot of the average people out there don't realize. You could have a tie. With where the math is yet with the states, is there the potential of a tie?
So with 538, you always have the potential of a tie. Now, what's interesting is Nebraska and Maine have the district representation. And when Nebraska's second congressional district went to Biden, that kind of took the tie out of play. But then Maine's second congressional district has gone for Trump. So, yeah, that is a possibility.
Okay, one of my sisters, and it isn't Heidi, it's Thomasine, actually Melanie is too. They're voting delegates in the Electoral College. Now, when they got that job, as Democrats in the state of North Dakota, they knew that they wouldn't be voting. But the reason I ask this is, could they have, and could other people voting in those states at the Electoral College change their vote?
So there's an interesting piece to this. So in 2016, we had a record number of faithless electors. That's what they're referred to as faithless electors, when they break the pledge, when they don't vote as expected. The Supreme Court took the case between then and now, because a lot of people just look at that and say, how in the world could an elector break their pledge and not vote in the way that the state's popular vote went? And we have had faithless electors in the past, and a lot of my research is actually focused on electors. So the Supreme Court took the case. They said that if states have laws that bind an elector to the vote of that state, then that is indeed enforceable. So those states that have laws that bind an elector to the vote of that state, they cannot break their pledge. They can be replaced by a different elector. The problem there, as I see it as a problem, is that only 14 states have those laws in existence right now. So the reality is there are over 400 electors across the country that there is no legal sanction, if they were to go rogue, to replace them.
So only 14 states, that's a danger zone. Okay, the process, though, of getting to be that vote at the Electoral College and the history of these individuals voting, my guess is you haven't seen a lot of people lie.
So different states, one of the things we're learning about this election, right, is we wait, nervously refreshing all the time what the results are in just several states, is that the states really control this process. And what we have is that, the states that have put those laws in existence are states that have been burned by faithless electors in the past. Most states use a state convention process to select their electors. Some states use a party committee to select their electors. They are chosen ostensibly, why? Because they are strong party activists. We would not expect them to break their pledges. But if you're chosen at a state convention, like I said, many of them are, you could see very easily how you could be a really strong Democrat and be a Bernie Democrat and not really be a Biden Democrat. Or you could be a Liz Warren Democrat and think that she got hosed during the primary season. So, and likewise, you can see Republicans that just loathe Trump. And that's what we actually had in 2016. Is we had two Republicans that resigned from their position as electors rather than vote for Donald Trump. And then two more Republican electors didn't pull the trigger for Trump and voted for somebody else. So it does happen. We did, especially when you have some unpopular candidates, like we've had in the most recent election. When I've surveyed electors, and this blew my mind, is that about 10% of them over time give some consideration to not voting as they're supposed to. Most all do. And I don't expect any kind of nightmare scenarios in this election, just put that out there. But most of them stay exactly what they're supposed to do, but some do not.
I can't imagine. The two that punted, I mean, Donald Trump wasn't always that popular with the Republican Party. I get that. The two that punted, I can understand. So then that state can appoint someone else, and Donald Trump gets the votes that he earned. But the two that didn't, what's their life like? How many eggs hit their house? I mean, they must have been pretty popular.
So interesting. So they were both from Texas, of all places. They were both from Texas. And immediately thereafter, I'll get there, but immediately thereafter, the state legislature in Texas said, we got to remove this possibility in the future. They still haven't done that. So electors are still free agents there in Texas. The one elector, Chris Cooperin, he had death threats. He had, all kinds of terrible things kind of coming at him before, because he wrote a New York Times piece urging fellow Republican electors to dump Trump before the Electoral College met. The other elector was actually a political science professor who voted for Ron Paul as a libertarian in Texas there.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. I would not want to go to the next Republican convention. This happened to Hillary Clinton too, didn't it? I mean, she still won electoral votes, but I've got 30 seconds left. Yeah. It happened to Hillary Clinton, right?
It happened to Hillary Clinton, and there was one elector in Washington State before the election said, I will not vote for her, and I hope I cost her the election. He ultimately voted for, you ready for this? Faith Spotted Eagle. Eagle has an electoral vote for President of the United States from 2016.
Oh, Robert. All right, one more time, because I want people to buy it. Tell them what your book is right over your shoulder, and tell them where they can find it.
Go ahead and Google Representation and the Electoral College. You can get it at Amazon. You can get it anywhere you wish. Representation, Electoral College, Robert Alexander at Ohio Northern.
Yeah, you got everybody looking what the Spotted Eagle is now. Yeah, but I mean, how in the world can you justify that vote? Robert, thanks. Thanks for taking part of your day and coming with us down the road.
Always a pleasure. You take care, Joel.
Everybody who thinks that Republicans and Democrats can't be friends, they're wrong. In fact, you'll learn that. Al Carlson, former majority leader of the North Dakota legislature, joins us next.
I just went in for a regular mammogram, and I found out that I had a little tumor.
Through the exam and the biopsy, it was determined that I had cancer.
I got a call from one of my doctors that I was diagnosed with breast cancer.
After 5 years, they found a local reoccurrence.
The first thing you hear when you're told you have a cancer, it's a little daunting because you don't know where to go with it.
Since 1999, in a partnership between CHI St. Alexius Health and Sanford Health Bismarck, the Bismarck Cancer Center has provided the most advanced radiation therapies and holistic support services for cancer patients and their loved ones for 20 years.
I've been at the Bismarck Cancer Center since it started. I actually was in the basement of Med Center 1 before, when we had old machines and old equipment. And thankfully, the two hospitals at the time, St. Alexius and Med Center 1, joined forces to create the Bismarck Cancer Center.
I walk in the door, I get nothing but hugs, and I was marveled at them. I mean, I thought it was the best place in the world.
The staff is unbelievably compassionate, and they explain everything to you.
Everybody's genuinely concerned about your well-being, and the level of care is just top-notch. The Cancer Center just does such an amazing job of helping people.
To me and my family, the Cancer Center means life. It's given me the ability to live out my life with my family, my wife, my children, my grandchildren.
Because of them, I'm 2 years out, get to move on with my life, make a difference now for other people.
I would recommend this center because the minute you walk through that door, they've got your back.
This center means so much to me and to the people that are in this building, and we just want to keep giving it back to the community and providing for them what they need.
I'm Katie. I've been cancer-free for 2 years.
I'm Steve, and I've been cancer-free for 4 years.
I've been cancer-free for 10 years.
10 years.
11 years.
15 years.
My name is Lainey, and I've been cancer-free for 18 years.
Bismarck Cancer Center, your partner against cancer for 20 years.
Who do you trust with your digital life? Not all cloud backup providers keep your data truly private. Beck Cloud Backup uses advanced multi-layer encryption to keep your family photos, videos, and sensitive business documents secure and only for your eyes. Your Beck Lightband Internet service already includes 50 gigs of free storage to keep your digital life safe and secure. Call us at 701-475-2361 to start using your Beck Cloud Backup today.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Down the Road. I said before the break that, you know what, Republicans and Democrats can live together. Cats and dogs can get along. I really believe that. Al Carlson is a friend. He was the majority leader in the North Dakota House. In fact, we did a lot of good work together, and he was nice enough to come in and spend some time with us today and go down the road. Al, good to have you on.
Well, it's good to be on. You know, it's been a lot slower lately. It's funny how they forget your name when you're not in office anymore.
Welcome to my life.
Yeah, you know.
Maybe it's time we run for something.
Well, I think that'd be a hell of a ticket, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So, the most important thing, where'd you get a deer tag?
Out, I didn't even know the district, but it's out by Mott.
Okay.
Yep.
I got 2H. I'm going to head down by Forbes, and I got a buck tag.
I'm not a trophy hunter. I'm learning how to shoot a crossbow, and next year I'll do a little bow hunting.
Okay.
But I'm just starting on that, so it's going to be fun.
I want to talk to you about what happened in District 8 in North Dakota. Just for the viewers, a little background. District 8 in North Dakota, we had the governor put $1 million+ into who he wanted to be on that ballot in the fall. And one of the individuals he got on the ballot contracted COVID, and he died. And so that same individual won the election, very Republican district, but a dead man won the election. And then the governor took it upon himself as the head of the executive branch to appoint his successor. This is all about Jeff Delzer. Jeff Delzer is a man that you appointed as chairman of your appropriations committee, one of the most powerful legislators. And so let's begin this way. Why does the governor hate Jeff Delzer so bad?
Well, Jeff is a very principled guy when it comes to the spending of your taxpayer dollars, and they disagreed on little things like the Teddy Roosevelt National Presidential Library out west. They disagreed on what is the governor's role when it comes to the budget. You know, he felt that we should be baseline budgeting, and that you just start with the last one and build it up or down. And the governor didn't like that. He wanted it to be his recommendations, and they didn't hit it off on that at all. And that started actually when I was there that we did. And I've always felt baseline was the right way to do it. Let's figure out where we're at, what works, and then go from there. Instead of just saying, here's our recommendations, take them or leave them.
Okay, now here's the problem.
So they had a disagreement fiscally on, I don't think policy-wise they were that much different, Republicans. But when it came to the spending of the dollars and who was in charge of telling where the money went, I think there was a big difference.
I think the biggest difference was the library.
Well,
I think the governor's
that was a pretty
pet
good
project,
size, but it was also stuck in the governor's craw about the budget process. So remember, we used to have the governor's bills would come in. Well, we set up a policy where their recommendations instead of bills, because we didn't want to have to kill them all and start over at zero. So he didn't like that process because that was a change from the norm, and he didn't like that at all. And I understand that he has his opinion, but again, his job is to make recommendations. Ours is to make policy and spend money.
In my 14 years there, I never met a governor that liked an appropriations chair, which is the way the process is supposed to work.
Yep.
You're supposed to have a little back and forth, because then the legislative branch, that's the one I love the most. I served in it. I loved it the most anyway. They are in charge of the money.
Well, there's only one branch of government that can spend money and make policy. That's the legislature. Mm-hmm. You and I will both defend the right of the legislature to do their job without interference from the others. Now, there's checks and balances. He can veto things if he doesn't like them, and we have the right to override it. But the guys who wrote the Constitution are pretty smart.
Can the governor legally do what he did?
In my opinion, he can't do it. And from the opinion of the Attorney General, he can't do it. Now, he's quoting a bunch of, if you read his statement, he's quoting a whole bunch of things from the Constitution. And in my opinion, that applies to executive vacancies. If someone dies or if there's a spot to fill, it doesn't apply to legislative, because there isn't any writer of a Constitution would say that the governor can pick who he wants to make a law so that they agree with the governor.
Right.
Nobody would do that. Not either party. Your guys wouldn't do it. We wouldn't do it.
No. And that's the point, isn't it? There is a separation, not the least of which there's a process. Now, you're going to end up having a fight with your side with the Democrats. The Democrats are going to say, look, he died. It should be the next voter on the ballot. That'll get settled later. But the one thing I know the Democrats agree with the Republicans on is the fact that the governor doesn't get to say who gets to be legislators. Yep. And so explain to people what will happen to fill that void.
Well, first of all, the way the law was done, and I believe you were there when we did the law.
And I voted for it.
Yep, and we passed a law saying that the process, if there's a vacancy, it goes back to the district organization of the party that the person was from. So it goes back to District 8, to Lauren DeWitt's the chairman, and to his executive committee. It's up to them when the election is certified, and it's canvassed and certified, and they decide that Ondal was the winner. Then they will say, he can't serve. He's not fit to serve because he's not there.
Right,
he passed away. So now it all reverts back to the district chairman, the district executive committee. They're given a couple of weeks' time in which they are given a notice that there's a vacancy that they have to fill. They then have to submit a name, and that name will be put forward, and that'll be the sitting legislator until the next election. So instead of a 4-year term for District 8, it'll be a 2-year term for whoever gets that position.
Did I read the whole thing wrong when he submitted it? But, whether it was arrogance, whether it was, I don't want to use the word stupidity, but, foolishness.
Poor advice in my view.
Okay, poor advice.
Yeah.
Let's use that. But did he, it reads as though he appointed that legislator that he wants now.
Yeah, well, he can't.
I know.
First of all, there's no
doesn't allow.
vacancy. Representative Delzer, who was was lost in the primary, his term runs till the November 30th of 2020. So there is no vacancy in District 8 today. There's still a sitting legislator there. You can't appoint another one for somebody that's already sitting there. First of all, that's his first mistake, is that it's not empty.
Yeah.
The second one is that he does not have the authority, and he's in my party. I mean, it makes it really difficult. It really bothered me when it was Republican against Republican in the primary. Now, he is correct in saying that he supported the 2 endorsed candidates. He did.
So what?
But he helped get him. I mean, his guys helped get him.
He spent over $1 million in over $1 million in a legislative district. They don't usually spend that in congressional races in some parts.
Well, he didn't spend all of that money. He'd spend I talked to Representative Delzer this morning. He figures between all the ads, the TV ads, all the mailings, that they spent upwards to $400,000 in his district. But a lot of that money that he put into that PAC also went for the treasurer's race and for other races around the state.
But he put $1 million.
Yeah, but he put a whole bunch of his own money in there. Now, I guess he's fortunate that he can do that. But it goes to show you that money is running modern-day elections.
It also shows you that from the executive branch, they can definitely try to affect the legislative branch, and in this case, they did. Jeff Delzer had been in there, and Jeff and I were never doing the kumbaya. I mean, Jeff is one of the most conservative people in your old caucus, and I had a hard time getting Jeff to do a lot of things. I thought a new home should be built at the Veterans Home, and he just shook his head, and I knew the answer was going to be no. But the truth of the matter is Jeff Delzer had been there for a lot of years.
Yep. And you know what? In my opinion, and I've worked with a lot of people in the House, he has a memory, doesn't forget anything. But he also is the guy, if you're a rural guy, he's also the guy that made sure that all the townships got some of the oil money. I mean, there was not a lot of support for that. Jeff fought and fought and fought, and every township got $5,000. Doesn't sound like much for the township that has nothing. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
And then, of course, we got it once, and then the second time it got done, it got vetoed.
Yeah.
It got vetoed. You know, so
by the governor,
by
obviously.
the governor, which was I thought was wrong. The townships were getting a little share of that, and they should have gotten it. But the point is, he has a different philosophy when it comes to the money. He's the most polite guy. He will not comment on this. He'll sit on the sidelines and he'll say, you know, and there's no guarantee that he'll get the appointment, even though in their caucus there was 4 people running in District 8. He was the 3rd highest vote getter. So if you were Lauren DeWitt's, you get your executive committee together. When that time comes, they've got to pick a replacement person for that. In my opinion, he's a logical choice because he wasn't far behind those other 2 in getting the nomination in the first place. But he fought a lot of money.
I got a big question for you. What price does the governor pay this legislative session? I know he's dabbled some money here and there in legislative races, but from your side of the aisle, there's got to be some people ticked off.
Well, I think that between Representative Pollard, Senator Wardner, not only this issue, but how some of the COVID money was sprinkled around, I think there's some bad blood there. The fact that he actually did go after Jeff in the primary may cause some bad blood. Yeah, it did.
You want to use the word may?
Well, it did cause some bad blood, and there's going to be some issues. Hopefully, they unite on the proper things, and that's funding the priorities of the government. You know, making sure that the proper things get done. You got to throw some of that under the bus, even though it's pretty hard.
Well, okay, let me take it here. Because on my side of the aisle, and you know I get to talk to people every day from North Dakota, all over the state, now through this medium and through my radio show. But they're not happy with the fact that Big Oil got $16 million of that COVID money. What are you hearing?
Well, I'm hearing the same thing. And I heard you this morning make the comment they probably should have put it in the schools. Now, there might have been some guidelines I'm not aware of on that. But the point is, in my opinion, when you get that kind of dollars, it should have been a legislative decision where that money went.
Yeah.
And it's again, you know, either spend it or they'll take it back. Well, sometimes it's better to take it back.
Well, the other thing is you could call a special session.
Yeah.
I mean, you could.
Well, if you had a lot of money like that, again, I think that that this whole COVID thing really empowered governors across the country. It gave them authority and powers beyond what most states allow their governors to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's wrong.
Al, you want to do this again someday?
Oh, I love doing this stuff.
I mean, we agree on more than we disagree on.
Yep, and I know you want to go hunting, and I think I'll either go to the lake or go hunting, one of the two.
You'll go hunting at some point. I know you. You know, ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, you take the time to know who Ed Rendell is. Former governor of the state of Pennsylvania, former chairman of the National Party for the Democrats. Ed Rendell is old school. He's old school. You know, we just talked about Doug Burgum and his style of politics. That would be new school. Ed Rendell on the other side would be someone you wouldn't want to tick off.
Bismarck Central, 4800.
4800, go ahead.
Requesting social services on-call team.
Stand by. 4800 social services requesting additional information.
You can advise social services that we have an 18-month-old female who was in a residence with a mother, now being transported to medical care for overdose.
Trusting your digital life to faceless tech giants can be risky. Will they keep your family and business information truly safe from prying eyes? If you subscribe to local Beck Lightband internet service, you already have Beck Cloud Backup. Beck Cloud Backup is the safest, most private cloud storage for all your family memories, schoolwork, and business documents. Call 701-475-2361 to start using your free space on Beck Cloud Backup today.
You just might find the home of your dreams this weekend by watching the Alliance Real Estate Tour of Homes Sundays at 6 p.m. and Wednesdays at 7 on Beck, featuring properties from Bismarck, Mandan, Minot, and surrounding areas. the Alliance Real Estate Tour of Homes presents desirable properties that are for sale, lets you meet your Alliance realtors, and provides critical insights into local happenings from community and business leaders. Join us this Sunday evening at 6 or Wednesday at 7 for the Alliance Real Estate Tour of Homes on Beck.
Today's households have more digital devices than ever before. More links to family, business, education, and entertainment. Beck Communications spent over 10 years building North Dakota's fastest fiber optic internet service. Beck Lightband Internet, outpacing speeds in large cities nationwide. Lightband Internet handles all your digital needs without throttling your connection to the world. Beck Communications, valuable digital connections in rural North Dakota.
Howdy folks, it's the County Line Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our hay bussin' breakfast and homemade soups. Fill your grill at a salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous County Line burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spur rattling pie with a cum roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the County Line.
Welcome back to Down the Road. Today on my radio show, I do a radio show, as you know. It's statewide and runs on a number of stations. It's called News and Views. But today, I was able to land Ed Rendell. Now, who's that? Ed Rendell, for many of you, you know who he is. You're going to recognize him when you see his face. But he's former chairman of the Democratic National Party. He also was governor of Pennsylvania. Gee. Do you think that state's making any news? So I wanted you to hear that interview. Take a listen.
I have an honor right now. I really do. I have watched this career from afar. Ed Rendell, governor of Pennsylvania, knows the state inside and out, can tell you somebody from every town in it, joins us right now. Governor Rendell, thanks for coming on with us.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning.
Yes. All right. Pennsylvania. Who wins Pennsylvania?
Well, I think Joe Biden will win by between 80 and 100,000 votes.
And why do you think that?
Well, there are about 500,000 votes outstanding. They're all mail votes except 30 divisions in Philadelphia, which Joe Biden will get at least 75% of the vote in those divisions. Of the mail ballots, we had 2.4 million mail ballots, and 1.6 million of them were Democrats. Only 550,000 Republicans and the rest independents. And in the counting so far, Biden's been running about 78% of the mail ballots. He wins 78% of the mail ballots. If he drops down to 75%, he'll win by 100. If he drops down to 72%, he'll win by 80. So I'm pretty confident he'll win by a margin that's at least going to be twice what Donald Trump won the state in 2016 by.
So, Governor Rendell, does this surprise you?
No, it doesn't. You know, we've been telling people for weeks that because so many Democrats chose to vote by mail and so few Republicans, and because mail ballots in Pennsylvania aren't allowed to be counted until Election Day, we've been telling people that Donald Trump would take a big lead on the night of the election, because that's the walk-up votes that are cast on Election Day, and that lead would shrink as the mail ballots started to be counted. And that's exactly what's happened. Donald Trump had a lead yesterday of about 670,000. His lead's down to about 145,000 now, and by the end, I think Biden will win by about 80,000 votes. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. We tried to get the legislature to allow the counting of the mail ballots to begin 3 days before the election, in which case we wouldn't have had this situation. But for some reason, the Republican-controlled legislature turned us down. You know, Florida and North Carolina, states like that, count their mail ballots as they come in. So the first ballots that are reported on election night are the mail ballots. But for us, we knew it would be the last ballots to be reported.
So there's already lawsuits filed. I mean, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, has said what you're doing is wrong. He wants the counting to stop. Speak to that if you would.
Well, we can't stop. I mean, we've been counting votes after Election Day for as long as I've been alive, and that's a pretty long time. We count military ballots after Election Day, and we count every ballot that came in or was postmarked or was voted before or on Election Day. And that's all we're doing. We're counting the votes. Donald Trump, as an American, should want every single person who voted correct appropriately to have their vote counted. That's what the Constitution says, and that's what we believe as Americans.
Governor Rendell, you began as a prosecutor. I mean, I want to share with you folks out there the books you wrote, you know, A Nation of Wusses, how America's leaders got or lost the guts to make us great. I mean, this guy is, in my world that I grew up in, the football world, he's no candy, okay? This is one tough guy. What do you think of when you're told that this process is corrupt, that your state is being corrupted?
Well, I think of how partisan we've become and how divided we've become and how sad that is. But I also know that in court, once you file papers to say that, you have to have something that Donald Trump and his forces don't have. That's evidence. You have to have evidence. Do you remember a couple of weeks ago, Donald Trump made a big deal about these votes, 8 votes that were found in a creek in Luzerne County, and they were Trump votes, and he said someone had thrown them away.
Yep,
well,
I remember. He forgot to tell people Luzerne County is controlled by Republicans, so Republicans control all the election machinery and all the people who work in it. And you'd have to believe that Republicans were throwing away Trump ballots. And there were only 8 of them anyway. So in court, you have to have evidence, not charges, not wild insinuations, not conspiracy theories. You have to have provable evidence. And so far, the Republicans have filed suit on 5 different occasions in Pennsylvania. And our Attorney General, Josh Shapiro, has defended those suits, and he's won all 5. So you had the ability, you know, with an ideology of what, I mean, you knew what you wanted to do, and yet you had the ability to get it done across aisles. That was your reputation. How do we get to there? How do we get to where the Mitch McConnells of the world, once these votes are counted, they go drive over to the White House and say, look, you're done. It's over.
Yeah, I think Joe Biden is singularly qualified to do that. He's a guy who's always worked across the aisle in his time as a senator and his time as vice president, and he knows the Republicans, and they like him very much. Lindsey Graham has said great things about Joe Biden for years. I think he'll be able to persuade Republicans to come along on things that are necessary for the country. But the way I did it was before I announced any program, let's say I had a new program to help Pennsylvania's environment, I would bring in Republican leaders and some Republican senators and representatives who cared about this issue very much. And I'd say, look, read this. This is what our plan is going to be. If you want to make additions to them, tell me now. I'll put the additions in unless I think they're bad. And if you want to delete some things, talk to me and maybe I'll take them out. And always I added things on their suggestion. Sometimes I deleted things on their suggestion. And we went in and we got a bill passed. We didn't get all the Republicans. It wasn't unanimous. But we got enough Republican support to pass the major things I wanted to get done.
So can I ask you this, as somebody with experience who's worked on a national scale and who knows Pennsylvania the way you do, when does America get to know for sure? Because these lawsuits and everything. I mean, once this is announced, you know, preferably today, will we know who our president is and can we move on with our life?
Well, I'm not sure Arizona will have the final count in by today. They might. I don't think Pennsylvania will. The final count will probably be tomorrow morning. But then there are going to be lawsuits, and that's not unusual. Remember Gore v. Bush. We didn't know who the president was going to be till December, I think, 8th or 9th. So I don't believe it's going to last that long. But everyone, hold on. We predicted this would happen, and it is happening. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing corrupt with it. There's nothing to be afraid about. But we knew it would take time to count every vote. And lawsuits can be filed, and they have to be heard. So it's probably we won't know for another week or so definitively. We'll know by Friday who won the states in the with the returns. There'll be recounts in some states, so that'll take a couple of days. There'll be lawsuits in some states, but that all will be done probably by the end of next week. But again, we'll know who the practical winner is by Friday afternoon, in my judgment, tomorrow afternoon.
Governor Rendell, I know your time is short. I just have one more for you. You were quite honest with the Clinton campaign that they were in trouble in Pennsylvania, that they were going to lose Pennsylvania. Turned out to be true. What was it about Joe Biden that made you feel the other way, that you felt so confident that he was going to win Pennsylvania? What was it?
Well, one, Joe's a working class guy, and everyone knows that. And he appeals to white and non-college educated Democrats more than Hillary Clinton did. So I was confident of that. I thought he would shave the margins in counties that Donald Trump really shellacked Hillary in. I didn't think he would win them, but I thought he would shave the margin. And secondly, I was confident because Donald Trump ran in 2016 as a newcomer. He didn't have a record. People got a little glimpse of him during the campaign, but he was sort of refreshing and bold, and people hoped for the best. But this time he had a record, and I think a lot of people who voted for him changed their minds. And I thought that would be enough to sway Pennsylvania. And it appears that that's going to happen, but nothing's over till it's over.
Governor Ed Rendell, it's a privilege, sir. Thank you for coming on.
Okay, let's keep this in mind. If you go back and look at what Ed Rendell did in his professional life, and I'm not talking about the time of prosecutor, governor, chairman of the Democratic Party. I mean, this man is known all throughout the nation. He's been on every talking head show you can possibly have. And he doesn't want that, but he still is willing to do that. If you go back and look at what Ed Rendell has said in the past, you're going to find a man you want to go to Vegas with. When we come back, some closing comments here on Down the Road.
He once won a spelling bee in an ancient language that he did not speak. He is the only man to ever earn extra credit on an IQ exam. His academic degrees are considered legitimate spending currency in 22 nations, 2 principalities, and at Chick-fil-A restaurants in the United States and Western Canada.
I do not always engage with education programming, but when I do, it is the Dr. Duke Show.
Stay educated with the Dr. Duke Show, weekdays at 4 p.m. on Beck News.
Introducing Accord Comfort Sleep Systems, a better way to sleep. We offer you 5 different models to give you the perfect choice of support and body comfort. Every model begins with our exclusive Accord Comfort Reflex Layer. This ensures proper spinal alignment and a deep down body relief. Our 8-inch Whisper Breeze provides a medium firm feel, and our 10-inch Gentle Night model has a quilted top, giving you a medium plush comfort. Both use Outlast fabric on the top of your mattress, ensuring that your body temperature is not too hot and not too cold. Our Copper Rest Sleep Series is our premier mattress, offering your choice of firm, plush, and luxury plush. Every model uses copper-infused gel latex and provides all the health benefits of copper. Accord Comfort mattresses are handcrafted in the USA and come with a 60-night sleep guarantee. You're going to love sleeping with us. Order today exclusively at accordsleep.com or Tom's Home Furnishings in beautiful downtown Harvey.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
My name is Rich Shook, and I lost my best friend in a grain bin accident.
Some of the emotional scars that when these incidences happen just resonates throughout the community like dropping a rock in a pond. I guess I'll never forget. At least the last moments we shared. That's why I think this is so important to get out there to people, is people think that it can't happen to you, and it can. The time it would take you to just kiss a loved one and your life is over. I believe it's unacceptable.
This message provided by North Dakota Farmers Union.
All right, it's over. If you're a Republican, you don't like what I just said, but it's over. If you look at that map and you look at where the numbers are and you look at who, and most importantly this, who is left to vote. Look at Nevada, and that's hotel workers. That's the service industry. That's where those votes are coming from. Ask yourself who you think is going to vote there. Then you look at Pennsylvania, and you look at who is left to vote there. Well, I'll tell you who's left to vote in Pennsylvania. People from Philly, people from Pittsburgh, people that have a union card. And so you know what? They're a good, solid base for the Democratic Party for years. In fact, you're already seeing it. You're already seeing how Biden has closed ranks. Now, if you look at Georgia, who's left to vote there? Well, people from Atlanta. Atlanta has grown and grown and grown, so they put Georgia back in play for the Democratic Party. And ask yourself who lives in Atlanta, right? And of course, this was one of the targets. It was suburban women. You look at the numbers when it comes to suburban women, and Donald Trump isn't winning those males, white males, rural males. He's nailing it. He's nailing it. But the people left to vote or have their votes counted, he's not doing so well. Now, forget about North Carolina. That's going to go Donald Trump. But any of these states go, you know what happens. It's over. Or is it? And here's my point in saying, or is it? I think that Joe Biden's going to get enough votes through the Electoral College to win. The question is, what happens in the lawsuits? Because there is going to be lawsuits. There are already over 300 lawsuits filed. 300 plus lawsuits filed. Is Comey Barrett going to go along with the president? Was there a promise made? Are we going to see the Supreme Court? Because I think Roberts goes with the minority. Is the Supreme Court going to inject themselves in for every one of these cases to the point where we see Donald Trump be able to cut off and not allow those votes in Pennsylvania, cut off and not allow those votes in Georgia? I hope not. I hope not, because then this nation, as divided as it is, is going to take to the streets. Heck, it might anyway. It's been good going down the road with you folks. Until next time, good riding with you.